Cherry broke the rules. They flew in the face of games industry norms. They ignored the typical developer playbook of rapid growth and constant community engagement. They stayed small and silent, and they focused on what was important, making the game. So it was glorious to watch when they emerged from their workshop at Gamescom 2025. They shut down their detractors with an announced ship date for their latest game, Hollow Knight: Silksong.
The first extended look since the last trailer in 2022. And starting tomorrow, you guys here at Gamescom can play a demo at the Nintendo and Xbox booths. There you go. Silksong is real.
This game's prolonged anticipation has created an unprecedented ripple effect, and I think it's forcing studios to reevaluate everything from marketing to production. Has this small team changed how indie games are going to be made? Are the big studios going to learn from their example? Today, we're going to dive into the Silksong Effect. We're going to talk about how Team Cherry's approach may actually become an unexpected blueprint for teams in the future. For context, if you haven't heard of Team Cherry, they're an independent developer located in Adelaide, Australia, and they created the beloved game Hollow Knight.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I'm William.
And I'm Ari.
We're here at Team Cherry headquarters.
The game was conceived during a game jam. This is where the goal is to create a game from scratch in a short period of time. Team Cherry then turned to Kickstarter to help fund the game and to generate excitement, to build their fan base. In 2017, they shipped, and as of today, they've confirmed the game has sold over 15 million copies, making it one of the most successful indie titles ever made. This story isn't new. It's happened before. A small indie team creates a game they love, they ship it, they make millions of dollars, and they start on the sequel. What is new is what happened next. Nothing. They didn't change. They didn't grow their team to hundreds of people. They were generalists who wore multiple hats, just like the Samfall team, and they stayed small.
One of the co-directors, along with William Pellin, who's not here with me today. I do a lot of the art, animation, level design, all that kind of stuff. And we basically just share all the tasks to make games like this.
I'm Matt Griffin. I'm the PR marketing director and also lead tester, voice actor, just basically.
They didn't upgrade their offices. According to this article, they didn't even hang up paintings. They didn't put any art on the walls. They just focused on making the next game. Contrast that with the makers of Splitgate, which grew from 2 founders to 200 in the same time frame, and now recently has announced layoffs at their studio. Both of these studios had financial success, but Team Cherry decided to keep their team small and focused, because growth has costs, not just the financial ones. If Team Cherry had wanted to grow, they would have needed new offices. They might have needed to move to a bigger city with more talent like Melbourne or Sydney, or maybe they would have hired remote people, which has its own set of problems. Of course, once you start adding new people, now you have to worry about all the benefits. How are you going to attract talent? Are you going to have profit sharing? What type of offices are you going to be in? Are you going to have a gym? What benefits? What health care? These are things that you have to start worrying about. Then there's support staff for all of these new people. You'll need recruiters to sift through resumes and make callbacks, maybe a human resources person, and someone to manage the office. Coffee, snacks, and computers don't buy themselves. They also don't repair themselves, so you probably need an IT person now to purchase all of your hardware to make sure everything's up and running. All of this may eventually help you to ship a better game, but while you're growing the team, you're not working on the game. When I was at Facebook, now Meta, they wanted to hire a leader for the AR product team. And while they were interviewing, we didn't hire many people. You see, you don't want to hire a bunch of people and put them in place when you have a new leader coming on board. They're going to want to hire their own people. So the project stalled, and eventually they asked me to lead the team. On day one, we had to make hiring a priority because we had completely stalled out. So after we got our recruiting efforts up and running, we spent all of our time focused on bringing people in, and we were able to hire a person a day. There was a new person starting on the project every single day. And even in a well-established company that had existed for many years and had lots of resources, it was chaos. It was exhausting. I don't recommend it. Luckily for Team Cherry, they knew this wasn't the path they wanted. They didn't want to spend their time managing people. They didn't want to have to spend time on all of the things you have to do to support a bigger team. They wanted to make a game. In an interview with Bloomberg, Gibson said, "I used to manage teams in past lives. I don't really want to do that ever again." Simply put, Team Cherry made a trade-off. They liked their process. They liked their close-knit team with tight communication. And that meant that they were going to take longer to make the game. When you choose to keep the quality high on the project and the cost low, that means the length of the project is going to expand. It's a trade-off on the triangle. And this choice is where things got tricky for Team Cherry. They'd avoided the team growth pitfall, but exchanged it for a lengthy development cycle. And this came with its own set of challenges. In 2019, they decided to do a reveal trailer for Silksong to give fans an update and give everyone an idea of what the game would be. Soon after, they realized this was going to be a problem. You see, one of the key pillars of the game is finding secrets. If they kept talking about the game and releasing trailers that revealed everything, they'd lose what made it special. So they decided to stop talking. They went dark. In today's games industry, that is not what they say you should do. Okay, everybody knows you gotta just keep generating excitement. You don't stop talking about your game. You push out news as much as possible. You announce early, you show something, anything. And this is where things can go horribly wrong for a studio. They can end up in a constant state of demos, and they can be pulling together demos that have nothing to do with developing the game. And oftentimes, these demos are a hack. They aren't an extension of the game being built. And sadly, it can all come crashing down. And it can crush the gamers, break their trust. Team Cherry took a big risk by going dark, and I admire their boldness. Not many teams could stand up to the kind of pressure they have faced for the last few years from the press and from their fans, all begging them for news. So how did they resist? Well, part of their strategy was they just didn't look at the internet. Gibson and Pellin tuned it all out, rarely going online. They say they never read comments on YouTube or Reddit, although occasionally friends or family would send them some of the funniest ones. It didn't cause people to have less excitement. If anything, it grew it into a fever pitch. The fans became rabid. They'd watch every clue on the internet to see if they could figure out what was going on. Entire communities grew out of these followers. My personal favorite was this YouTube channel that would post daily updates on the game. It was essentially the no update channel.
Your host for today, bringing you your daily Silksong news. There has been no news to report for Silksong today.
I think part of what drove the obsession is the fact that everybody thought the game was going to ship very soon. In fact, even the developers thought it was going to ship very soon. For example, at the Xbox Showcase in 2022, it was included as a game that would be releasing in the next 12 months. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because, like most game teams, Team Cherry didn't know when they were going to ship. They weren't great at estimating, and they kept adding things to the game. So the fans, they ended up having to wait another 3 years. I've worked with one game team that was good at estimating, so it's not surprising that Team Cherry didn't know how long it would take. It also turns out that it's hard to ship when you're having a lot of fun, when you're enjoying what you're doing. I remember at some point, I just had to stop sketching, Gibson said, because I went, everything I'm drawing here has to end up in the game. If I don't stop drawing, this is going to take 15 years to finish. This is probably why they were able to exceed their own ambitions for their game. And this is another place Team Cherry is excelling compared to the rest of the industry. They're following through on their promises. They're delivering, they're over-delivering. As a simple example, this is from the video they released on Valentine's Day in 2019. Fast forward to today, and they have over 200 enemies in the game. It seems like a really small thing, but I think the gamers are really tired of being told that they're going to get something and then having the developer fail to deliver. Doing what you say is how you build trust with your customers. And that trust, that's what carries you when you make mistakes, when you miss a deadline.
They understood the value of respect. that if they treated their developers and players well, those same developers and players would forgive them when things didn't go as planned.
And that's the thing. Team Cherry seems to be hearing gamers. They've heard loud and clear that a lot of us would like a game that doesn't require us to be connected online in order to play it. So they're shipping on every platform, and they're making sure to have DRM-free versions available on Good Old Games and Steam. I think Hollow Knight Silksong is going to do very well. But even if it doesn't, does it matter? I mean, Team Cherry has already won. They've been able to spend the last several years making a game that they love together. We're fortunate that we have a development method that is so enjoyable, Gibson said. Not exactly sure how we stumbled onto that. Everything comes together quickly. You can see results fast. Ideas turn into something that exists in the game almost immediately before your eyes. And that's very satisfying. I was there when Microsoft started their internal studios. I remember how excited I was when I got hired, and I finally got to work on something I loved and actually make a living doing it. And from that day forward, I kept trying to hold on to my teams and the games that I was working on. I never wanted to move. I could have shipped Gears of War forever. I'll never forget when Peter Moore said to me, "You know, I think you're a Microsoft lifer, Laura." I agreed, and then 2 years later, I was gone. You see, big studios, big corporations, they don't want that. Even if you survive the constant barrage of peers trying to murk you, you still have the leadership of the company itself to contend with. Corporations think it's a great idea to keep mixing things up, keep reorging the team, laying off people. There was a saying in early Microsoft days, up or out. You either had to get promoted quickly or you would be gone. On the surface, that sounds good. Let's drive people to be ambitious. But in reality, it was broken. You see, not everybody wants to move up in the organization. Not everybody wants to be a manager or a leader. There are plenty of people who just want to make a game. And there's plenty of growth in making a game. Okay, you learn something, even on games that are sequels. And that's why I love making games, because it's the endless challenge. It's like that game you never quite master and you can never quite be perfect at. Every game is different, and it grows you as a person. It improves you. Can't that be enough? Why can't a person find a forever job and just keep doing it? Team Cherry understands this. They have their forever job. They have something special, and instead of going with the games industry flow, instead of growing their team or selling out to a big studio when they hit it big, they went back to doing what they do best, doing what they love, making their game. And that perhaps is the biggest lesson the games industry can learn from their success. A blueprint, if you will, for the future.
They knew that if you put the game and the team first, the revenue will follow. They were driven by idealism and wanted players to have fun. And they realized that if the developers didn't have fun, nobody was going to have any fun.